All right. Welcome, everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is July 31st, 2018. And tonight's webinar the title is After Entry, Where Do I Put My Stop and Targets? And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, webinars we might have, or our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, I don't see any, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, judging by the chart that we have here, what is the overall direction of the trend? Anybody? Yeah, exactly. It's pretty well, it's sideways, but it is sideways to down. That's correct. Sideways to down. So if you were trading this, what type of trades would you be mostly looking for? Let's say that you were up, I'm not normally up about 4:30 or so. I think I've got this set at about 6:30. I do get up by then though, okay, so that I can trade. And always be sure and draw your lightning, not only lightning 3, but also draw lightning 1, because that helps out a little bit too, okay? And of course, something else you want to draw is these predictors, okay? Because those are going to help you see, you know, for instance, if you're mainly looking short, then short the white ones, okay? But just scalp them while they're in these ranges, right? Okay. And what we're going to talk about tonight quite a bit is, you know, not only the entry of it, but also where do you put your stop? Now, one thing keep in mind that when the markets open, you know, when oil opens, to give an example, you're looking for momentum type trades. You're not necessarily looking for scalps. Now, if they're in a tight range, obviously you would be. But as a rule, when oil opens, to give an example, it's going to give some kind of a move. And we just need to be ready to take it. And I think everybody in here knows that one of my favorite trades is the phantom trade. I talk about it all the time, so I think you can pretty much tell that. And I like it, okay? So we're going to talk about entering with some of those, also where do you put your stop, and of course, where do you go for your target, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead. Everybody got this right, so we are looking for shorts. So let me ask you a quick question then. By looking at this exact same chart, where would the trade be on this particular chart? Now, it's already happened, and I think you can clearly see it. Anybody see it? It's the phantom trade, right? This is actually a phantom trade after a ratchet down, and this is a line 6 type trade. This is where your sweet spot is. This is where your sweet spot is on a long type, but this is not a long. Because if you look at the overall on crude oil, let me get the other chart. Bear with me a second. Yeah, right here. You can clearly see that your trend is down, right? I mean, they had a huge ratchet down. They retraced. You got you a phantom trade. That was the first time into phantom. Now, if you got up at like 6:30 in the morning instead of, you know, in here, and you saw this was still really tight across here, you can break the phantom rule by simply taking like a predictor type trade. You can usually get 10 ticks on those. Okay, let's see. All right, but let's go over just real quick, because I've had quite a few people asking, you know, a little bit more about phantoms. I did that video, but I want to go over a little bit more of it right now and show you how to get into these trades. Just always remember that our trend with the bands, which is called the VIP dynamic trend or even the object trader power trend, consists of these bands, and basically there's 6 ticks on each of these bands, and there are lines starting with line 0. Now basically the programmer that did this particular one called this 0. Otherwise we would have been going 1 through 9, but we go 0 through 8, and that's also where your trail stops are on Object Trader too, if you want to choose those. Okay, and just always remember the midband is right square in the middle of all this. Okay, when we say midband, we're talking about that thicker line in the middle, which is this one right here. Okay, when we talk about predictor, we're talking about predictor whites when they're shorts, and we're talking about predictor greens when they're long. Okay, predictor green when they're long. And you'll be able to tell by the color of the midband also. But if you have a magenta, a rose color, or even a red midband, you do not want to be taking longs against that unless you're going to scalp. Okay, so let's go over real quickly because several people have asked this, and even on my 17-minute video, I thought I went over quite a bit of this, but I'm going to go over it again a little bit for you. All right, there are 0 on this line 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a midband, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, when we talk about phantom areas for shorts, it's going to be the criteria. It has to meet a certain criteria, and we're going to go over that too. And you're going to be looking for shorts between line 6 and line 7, and even up as high as 8, but no higher than 8. Okay, this could even be a sweet spot as far as that goes. Just don't let it go above 8 because you're going to no longer have a phantom in that direction, that is. Okay, same thing on this side here. Okay, and remember your phantom has to go from a midband trend change to another trend change. Okay, now obviously all you have to do if you were trading would be to go to your chart and see where it has been, and you can clearly tell this has been long and it went short, so, and it has ratcheted down, so you are looking for these phantom trades. Okay, this ratcheted down, so you'd be looking for that phantom trade. Okay, now how do you stay in a trade though? For instance, like this little trade right here. Okay, if you would have taken this at like 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, how would you stay in this trade, and how would you know to get out of this trade? Anybody? Because what I personally like to do, and you can try this and see if it works for you too, and that is, let's say that you shorted line 6, which is, your phantom area, and the predictor was telling you that it was right here too, okay? And you shorted this, and you're thrusting down, you're retracing, you're trying to thrust down. Wouldn't you put your stop just above there? Because that's ratcheted down. That's trying to make a swing, and you just go a bar at a time, and you'll see. And if it finally breaks the swing to the left, that's an identified swing. Okay? It's extremely important, and I get people all the time that'll say, you know what? It's like a light went off in my head because, I've been looking at swings, but I haven't been looking at identified swings. Okay? Because an identified swing, just like here, for instance, if you were trading this chart right here, you would have seen a thrust and you're seeing a pullback. But when did this particular chart start stair-stepping back up so that you could take the trade? And the answer is lightning, identified. Okay, so let's say that you had, you saw it thrust up. Maybe this is a midband, maybe it's not, but let's just say it is. And you were stair-stepping down. When did you start stair-stepping back up? Well, when you got this higher low, but when did you know you had the higher low? When it takes out the swing to the left. That's when you know that this is starting to stair-step back up. Okay, so when you're trading like this, then this is your stop right now. You could even put it here as far as that goes, because this is actually a little swing. It's a little less identified. Okay, and then if they happen to take it out at all, see how that kissed it? Kissed it, and looks like it took it out. So you're out of that trade. Everybody see how to do that? You just simply follow lightning, and you can get out of the trade. Now, what if you hit support? Well, we draw lines all the time on our charts, so obviously, if we saw this hit support down and through here, we'd probably protect the coin anyway. But what if this was to decide to do thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, and then keep rolling. Well, you don't want to just get out just because it hits support. But you do want to take your main contract out, your last contract that is, when it either breaks a trend line, which it was doing there, or when it starts stair-stepping back up, okay? And it started stair-stepping back up. Let me just show you exactly where it did it. All right, if you were watching this, see it was stair-stepping down, stair-stepping down, stair-stepping down. You had a low here, a high, and a higher low. So when was this trade really taken off the table? Technically, on this bar, that's on the right side of the chart. But if you look to the left side of the chart, it'd be when it takes that line out. Everybody see that? Because you're going to be amazed at how much better your trades will go for you if you'll do this type. Because let me show you what could happen. And so many people get out of a good trade. Let's say that this would have done this. You would have thrust down and you retraced. Okay, and then you did a little stair stepping down again. Okay, like so. Didn't take out that low, did it? And then it kind of stair steps back up a little bit, and then it stair steps down. Okay, now a lot of people end up getting out of a trade and missing where this might have hit its head here and rolled over and given you a 100-tick trade like oil did today. But when it starts stair stepping back the opposite direction, you pretty much do want to get out of that trade. Let me show you how you can see that without drawing manually. Sorry about that. Let me throw this phone out. Just 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. That was my son actually calling. I usually have my webinar on Monday night. He said, I thought you had your webinar on Monday night. I said, yeah, I normally do, but your daughter was here. All right, so let's go ahead and go over this on Lightning 2 and also Lightning 1. All right, this is Lightning 2. Thrust, retrace, thrust. This is actually your identified swing right here, right? Because it took out the low with the close of a bar. Okay, so that would be your out if you use the left-hand side of the chart. If you use the right-hand side of the chart, you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low because it took out this swing. So an aggressive trader could actually be out of that trade right here, or a more conservative trader could be out if it took out this swing, which it actually did that also. Everybody see that? See how it took that out? That's the best way that I can possibly think of staying in trades. It just absolutely works. Okay, so we've got this set for like 6:30 in the morning. I think it's 6:30. That's about the time that I get up right there. So you want to see if we can now take a trade, and y'all tell me where you want to get out of this trade. Okay, and we're going to do it with Object Trader live so you can see it. Let's just go ahead and do Object Trader. Strategy. And let me go ahead and apply this. This is on replay. And what we're going to do, we're going to see where we can get in this trade. All right. We'll draw our little swings. Predictor is saying right here, just a little lower. We'll see what we get. Isn't your lightning right here so far? Now, if it gets up to that predictor, we're going to go ahead and take this if it rolls over. Let's just see, let's just do 10 ticks. Well, actually, no, we'll stay with the trade. See if we missed that yet. Nope, we haven't missed it yet. Still hasn't gotten up there, has it? See if we can get something. We'll go ahead and do the 3, and I'll do 10, 20, and 30, but we're going to actually bring our stops like you'll want to actually do. Okay, here we're getting close. Kissed that predictor, didn't it? Now, right now, where is your swing starting to try to be? Anybody? Well, if this closes above here, you're going to have a high, a low, and a higher high. So this would be a swing that this would change to red. So let's see if we get that at all. Now, if it actually gets up there into that predictor and rolls over, I'm going to short it anyway. But if you want to do it more conservatively, then obviously what you'd want to do is wait for it to actually do a little lightning to the downside. See if we get anything. And that's tempting right there. That's right at resistance. Let's see, please explain what a predictor to trade top, bottom, or middle. Absolutely, Robert. I'll explain that. What you're actually looking at is you're looking to take the predictor based on the color of the midband. Because, for instance, we're looking for shorts, right? So we're actually going to short a predictor, or now here's our entry right here again. Or if we get up and we roll, I'm going to still take it too. Let's see if we can get something. Still kissing support. If it breaks it, I'll take it. May go a little higher. That's a white predictor. 4 colors. That's correct. See if we can get something. See how it's holding support. Now you've got a high, you've got a low, you've got a lower high, but if they take this out, they may get a higher again. You see what I'm getting at? You don't know right now, except that's a high, that's a low, that's a lower high, but it won't be a lower low unless it takes out this line with a closed bar. Okay, is it going to? We'll find out. How did you determine support? Right here on this little swing. It's a micro swing. Let's just let it play out. I'm doing it only like 5 times the normal speed because I want y'all to see how we would take this trade in this type of a choppy sideways stuff. Okay, notice that you would basically take it right here, or if this comes up to another area that it hasn't checked before yet, like even right here, for instance, or if it rolls over, we'll take the trade. See if we can get something. Lightning's a pretty good indicator too. By the way, I could actually just turn this on and even take the trade. But let's see if we actually break. We may change trends. We'll find out. But so far, are you looking for longs? No. You're not looking for longs yet. Speed this up a little bit. Hopefully I can still get the trade. Okay, now where you basically have a high, a low, same high, low. So I would actually be more like here or some kind of a rollover. This is right at predictor. So this, notice how I drew my line there? That's where resistance is on the left side of the chart. So I would probably take this with 1 if the bar even closed down. Let's see if it works. And then I'll add if we get a little lightning dance down. Are we going to be in 1? We don't know yet. The bar hadn't closed. See how I'm looking at support though? Jeff, you know where this lightning actually draws. Now this is lightning 2. Let me show you lightning 1. See, lightning 1's right there. Right there at 80. Are we going to get a trade? Well, if that bar closes, we will. There we are. We got a trade. Okay. Now let's see if we get a little lightning, like maybe stair stepping, and we'll add 1. If we get a high, a low, see how that's trying to close up? If it doesn't close up, we won't get it. Let's see, if lightning is red, why is power meter green? Well, you're actually stair stepping up right now. I'm not taking lightning, I'm taking the resistance, but watch lightning, you can actually turn it on. We'll see if we can add, we'll add 2. See if we get a lightning to the downside. Now keep in mind that we may get stopped out of this trade. I would probably put my stop. Let's look to the left to trade the right. Since this is resistance right here, I'd probably put my stop just above that, say something like that, and then turn on exit on close. Because I'm pretty much figuring if they hit this, they're not going to take it out if we're going to stay sideways. But if they take it out, then we'll lose 8 ticks. Let's see if we get something. If we get a high and a low and then break, this will actually trigger. So far, it's just bars down, so it's not going to trigger till it breaks this. See, power meter's not triggered. You have to have, there you just triggered. Okay, everybody see that? Okay, so we got us a little trade. Now, what I'd do if I was sideways like this, I'd probably protect the coin. See there? And look how quickly you can do something like that. Okay? Now, notice that even in chop like this, you draw your lines on your chart. I didn't draw the bottom one, I drew the top one. But look at the bottom line right across here. See there? That's all they did is they just checked it. Now you have to kind of think of it as an area. You know, when I had kind of an epiphany was the first time I ever heard Charles teaching this. And that was that these little areas are like a little box. You know, you're not necessarily going to get down to the low. But see, this was looking exactly to the left. That was your low. Everybody see that? Okay, so let's see if we can get another trade. We're still in chop. We're either going to break. Now, let me show you kind of the trades that I'd be looking for. First off, they would have to actually break this support level and come back and kiss it, or we're going to come up near mid-band or something because we're still in chop sideways right now. We'll see what it does. Now remember, if it breaks out, we're not going to take this trade just because it breaks out. We're only going to take a trade that breaks out if it breaks down, pulls back and kisses, and then rolls over. Okay, because we're not looking for a breakout trade. All right, but we are looking for like a mid-band trade. Where does everybody think that trade will be? Can anybody see where it's probably going to be? Well, let's look to the left to trade the right, and I'll draw a line. I'll draw 2 lines. See them? Right to the left, that one and that one. Think we'll get one of them? We might. Let's see. Let's speed it up again. Now remember, we're not taking a breakout trade if it does break this, unless it breaks, kisses, and rolls. See, we're trading white predictors. Okay, notice how we bounced off a pink one or a magenta one. I can show you how to do that, Dan. Just remind me in just a few minutes how to change your lightning thickness. Absolutely. Okay, we're still retracing a little bit. Now we're not going to take this trade unless we get a predictor, okay? Unless it kisses exactly where I want it to. If it kisses this blue line here, I will short it. Well, I think I just missed it. I was talking. See there where it kissed exactly where I wanted it? I just missed it. That's okay. You want to go ahead and take it? We'll take it. We'll try to get support. See if we can get support. See how I drew on my chart and I just shorted resistance? Now I shorted that a little later than I like. I like to actually hit it right at the line. There we go. We got it. All right. Now remember, only if this breaks and comes back and kisses. It's got to break, come back and kiss, which it's not doing right now. See where support is right here? All it did is kissed it. Okay, notice we got a white predictor over here, but none over here yet. There's a predictor. Predictor saying right at my line. Now, let me ask you a quick question. Okay, it just hit it, right? Now, there's two ways that you can take this, okay? The safe way is actually to wait for lightning. See the high, the low, and the higher high? That's a lightning swing. Okay, now that's where I would take it right there. See that line that it just drew, because that's actually resistance also. But we'll just wait and do it with the lightning instead, if it breaks. But keep in mind, if you do breakout trades, you got to calculate where this thing could actually go, okay? So in other words, if we were to break here, we got to at least get down to here. That should be 10 ticks. So I'd probably still take that trade. Okay, but see how beautiful that kissed my line? That's where I wanted the trade right there. Perfect predictor kiss. Giving you another chance. What do you think? You want to take it? Or you want to just wait for lightning? Now remember, lightning, if it's already red, you cannot take a trade with PM meter. Okay, that's going to be fixed in Ninja 8. It's not a problem as far as that goes. It's just that, once it hits a condition, it's there. But we're going to make it to where it's going to know that, let's say for instance it's red now, it'll look to even take this trade if it does break. That's what we're going to do with real-time lightning. Now we are going to add the phantom trade to NinjaTrader 7, but I don't think we're going to be adding other things to NinjaTrader 7. Object Trader is pretty much complete, with everything we want done to it. I think we're good to go on it. Now keep in mind, if you take a little breakout trade, what do they normally do, Viper traders? If we break this right here, what do you think they'll probably do? They'll either break and come back and kiss it, or they'll barely break and come all the way back up here and roll over. Let's see which one they do. Still so tempted to take that, but I'm going to do it conservative for you. This is what you get early in the morning, just slow. There's a little trade right there too. See it break that little, that's just like a little consolidation patch. Now keep in mind, you could also wait for it to actually break this too with a close bar. Okay. Now we've already checked these lows now. Notice that we checked them. We haven't checked this one right here. So I'd put one target right in that area right there. And then I'd probably run a runner and just let it go. Now this is actually, notice this right here, by the way. This is actually the trade that was being called in the room as we opened up. Remember 759? Anybody remember what happened? Well, watch your lightning and you'll see exactly what happened. Let me just fast forward it just a little bit. Now, if you were to go long on this, like let's say for instance our little box drew, okay, and you wanted to go long instead if it broke out of the top of the box, be very careful that it breaks lightning swings. Look at the right one, and if the left one is really close to it, you even want to break that left one. Okay, so if this was to head up, I would want to probably even break this one even. See what I mean? It's because it's so close. So even at the open, you want to be careful that you don't just get sucked into a trade. Okay, let's fast forward this a little bit and see. Remember, we got a little white box that'll draw here in just a minute. But the white box that draws only draws by time. It's basically going to draw a box, but it's still up to us as traders. See that white box? It's up to us as traders not to get sucked into it. See how that lightning swing held right there? Remember that? Now, we actually called this trade in the room right here, and you could even add as far as that goes. See how that broke? Everybody see that? Now, what about staying in a trade? Okay, several people have asked that. All right. Now, once you break support, to give an example like this right here, we've got several trail stops that you can use. Okay, if you've got 3 contracts, you don't want to go all the way to mid-band. Okay, you might want to use stealth or even line 2. Okay, but you really don't want to go all the way to mid-band, because from here to mid-band is 24 ticks, 3 contracts, $720. Okay, So you can actually set your trail stop to stick with a trade and do it just based on like lightning. You can even watch it manually, or you can just simply, see if it's going to stair step up. If this was to stair step up, it could hit right across here. Looking to the left to trade the right. If it's going to head down, they'll just barely take out that low, and always look to the left to see where they just broke. And they just broke 55. And look where they tested. So I bet you're still okay on that trade. Now, how many of you get out of a trade like this and you miss the rest of it? Because if you miss the rest of the trade, I don't know if anybody remembers this trade on oil this morning, but this trade dropped like a stone. Anybody remember it? So obviously you could take, if they break this line, you could take one off. And by the way, you can even turn on sniper. And if it happens to go above sniper, inside it, like with the close of a bar, you turn on sniper, see that green line? That would automatically take me out of 2 contracts if it breaks that line. Remember that? Yeah, and if your tendency is to get out of trades, try to at least stay with Lightning 1, to give an example. Okay? Now notice Lightning 1 went green on that, because guess what it did? It did a low, it did a high, and it did a higher low, and it did a higher high. Okay, so you got to be careful just taking them out with lightning. Now usually what I'll end up doing is if it's, you draw on your charts and it's just kissing resistance, then stick with it, even if lightning goes green. Because sometimes first thing in the morning you can get some monster trades. Okay? Let's see, you could add more since it's a retrade. Absolutely, you could add more right there if you wanted to. Now 3 is usually plenty for, any kind of a run as far as that goes. And you might not even want to do 3 for a run. Okay? Because you don't know for sure that it's going to continue breaking, although it is breaking right now. See it? Okay? Now, notice that your break-even trigger went to even, but that's where that's going to stay. But if you want a trail stop, then let's say, for instance, you're looking at this and they broke line 2, so maybe you could use line 3 as a stop. Put it on line 3, trail enabled, and engage trail. And your line 3 will stair step down with it. Okay, now what I like to do personally is diagnose my charts, and if I can quickly see that they're barely, when they thrust down, if they tag line 2, I'm not going to use it as a stop. Okay, if they miss line 2, then I'll probably use it as a stop. Now that they're breaking down, you could even use line 2 again. See that? See how they're not touching line 2, but you could be safe with line 3 too. And that's the way you can stay in a trade. And does anybody remember exactly where I called this trade out this morning? Anybody? Well, let's watch it. Let's just watch and see. You tell me when it starts stair stepping, not down, but back up. Yeah, and that's the thing, David. If you do, too tight, obviously now in chop, you're pretty much going to have to draw your lines and everything. And if they even come close to them and then they start stair stepping back, you just take it off the table. Because, something that's really terrible is obviously if you get in like a phantom trade, to give an example, and you literally let them take you back out and you never get a profit on it. So you've got to take profit, but the way to do it is with lightning. See how that went thrust, retrace, went down some more, then it started stair stepping back up, and you can get finally taken out of those, but still hang on to some of your profit. Now remember this trade, we actually watched this happening in real time. And could you stick with a trade like this? And the answer is yes. By the way, you could also use stealth. See, stealth is also a stop. If I go with stealth, I can actually hit my space bar and I can tell you where stealth is. Obviously right there is where stealth is. And then I just simply engage my trail and see the trail will follow stealth then. See there? You can also back it off if you want to. You know, like if I want to back it, whoop, that's the wrong direction. Let's back it the other way. No, back it the other way. There we go. And then engage. And then that way you can follow stealth a little bit more. You know, instead of right with stealth, you can offset it a little bit. See how I offset it by 4 ticks? And then this won't even stop me out until stealth actually gets crossed. Remember how we were talking about, you know, I didn't even take that next trade. I even said in the room this morning, you know, when I can get 70 ticks, even though the next trade I called it out and everything and it was still a good trade, I didn't care. You know, because you basically get to that point that you think, you know, if this thing drops like 70 or 80 ticks, how many times out of 10 does it usually chop around? And the answer is almost always right. Now, does anybody remember this? See how this thrust down right there? I could feel that that was changing because anytime they thrust, you know, where you get like bar after bar after bar, that's pretty much over until it retraces. Now, how could you protect yourself on this? We actually called this trade out when we had a low, we had a high, we had a higher low, and if it closed above here, we actually stopped out of this trade. Anybody remember that? So could you put your stop, turn this off, of course, and then put your stop just above the swing, especially when they thrust down like that? And that's exactly what we did. And with 3 contracts, you're going to still give up $300, $400, maybe even $450 if that thing goes up 15 ticks. So you got to protect yourself at some point, right? Now, usually what you're doing by now, you're actually more than likely out of, you know, all but one of them to begin with. Okay. Now, I don't personally like riding, you know, like phantom or something like that, because you're talking about from phantom here to phantom here, that's 48 ticks. Now, we all know that oil came right into this sweet spot right here and rolled over, because I called it this morning live in the room. But who wants to let that go all the way back up there? You could also draw a trend line along those highs. So you can pretty much see they're breaking the trend line. They haven't broken that trend line all the way since there. So is this the time to get out of the trade? Well, it pretty much was, because remember, it stopped us out. And we're not going to reverse or anything like that. Don't go going silly and, you know, reverse just because it breaks a little swing. Now, I'll show you what some of our people do. I'm going to show you a little trade, because we're talking about entries and then where do we put our stop. All right. Now, notice that we got stopped out of this. Okay. Now, if you want to go against the trend when it breaks the trend line like this, turn on this little jewel right here and go for like 10 ticks. Because you'll find that stealth, if it's going to go up at all, you'll get a green stealth, and then you'll be able to actually get some kind of a trade. Let's see what it did. It's getting a higher low. Now, I didn't take this trade this morning to begin with. Wow, that green stealth was way up there. I would have probably pulled it off the table to begin with, but it did do 10 ticks. You know. So remember this trade though? Now, let's look at this. I'm going to pause this for just a minute, because that's one beauty of being able to do a webinar, is that you can teach every step of the way how to take the trade. Okay, so let's diagnose our chart. Let's get rid of all the lines on it. Now, let's get rid of lightning. We don't really need it anymore. All right, and let's get rid of stealth. Don't need that trail stop. All right, now, is this a downtrend, yes or no? Well, obviously it is, right? So is this a phantom trade? And how would you take it? Well, the way I see it right this very second is I see a high, a low, and a higher high. So I would put a line right under here, like that. All right. That's right now. Now it may change. We'll find out in a few minutes. But that's where you would want to trigger that trade to the downside, because you do have a high, a low, and a higher high. So that's a lightning swing. It would change red. Okay. And you could even use sniper, short. I'd probably do, instead of a close, I usually like to do touch plus like 2, or even you can even do 3, as far as that goes. But keep in mind, 3 is actually 4. That's a full bar. So I usually use 2 because that's most of a bar. Okay, so let's see. And to turn sniper on, you just hit enter, and that's now the bottom, which is below the bars. So that's that button right there. So let's see if we get something. Now where's the swing? Well, you could kind of say it's even right there, by the way. See what I mean? If you wanted to. Now, if it goes up and closes up, you'd probably bring your down there again. See how you can move it in real time? You go long on a higher high. Well, keep in mind, Lewis, on your question, you could definitely have gone long on this earlier, because you were getting higher lows and higher highs. So, technically you could have even put a line across this area right here and probably taken a quick long, yes. But it's risky because the trade that set up was Phantom. And remember, this trade was called in the room this morning on Phantom. Let's see, sniper is like a limit order. No, it actually still has to be, broken, because what we're looking at is a touch plus 2, which has to do 2 ticks under that line, and it'll fire those contracts. You could do, 2 or 3 or whatever you want to do. And what it has to do, it has to go below the line by 2 ticks at least, and 1 more tick that same direction. If it goes 2 and then pops back up, it won't fire. Let's see if we get anything. See how that went 2 and then didn't fire? That's because it didn't go the 3. And keep in mind that as this thing does its little thing, you can rechange lightning the whole way. Okay, see, like, what are you getting now? You've got a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So let's see if we get even lower up here. Maybe we'll get a high, a low, lower high, and then break. You see what I mean? Right now, your trade is still here or even here. Okay, I usually like to leave it, with that one, or even do it with the wick, whichever you want to do. But then watch and see if you don't get a little lightning that you might be able to take this trade anyway. We'll see. Now keep in mind, if you're using sniper, you always got to hit enter to put that little dot back on that chart. See where a dot goes on that line? Be sure and look at the ebook if you don't understand that. Okay, so we have a high. Okay, we have a bar that went down, we had a bar that went up. So basically you could even say that this is a little lightning swing right across here, even if you wanted to, or even like that. See what I mean? And there you go, you got your trade. We forgot to change it from 10 ticks, but that's okay. We'll do it again. Now we're feeling some heat on that one. Where do you put your stop on this one, anybody? A phantom trade, more than likely what you're really going to want to do is put your stop up here in this phantom area. I even recommend line 0 or line 8, because with line 8 you're actually protecting yourself, because if this is going to continue down, then phantom has to step down. Okay, and if it stops you out, it just stops you out. But you could always protect some too. Like if this was to start breaking lightning again to the upside, I'd probably take a couple off, or even 3 off as far as that goes. Everybody see that? And you just move your targets accordingly to the different levels. See, like that one right there, this one right here, and then you ride a runner. Let's see, could you just put it on predictor at the stop? Well, yes, except Lewis, you'd be getting out at the top of that predictor, and I wouldn't want to give it that much room. We're going to design the trade to where you'll actually be able to use line 8 on the short one and line 0 on the long one. But you'll be able to change it because we're going to have an offset on it. But keep in mind, if you go too tight, they sometimes go inside this little shadowed area before they roll over. But look how beautiful that trade turned out. And remember, I even missed that one, but I called it in the room. We even drew the lines on the chart of how to take it. So let's look at that and see if where I diagnosed that, if it wasn't really where it was supposed to be. Just one sec. Sorry about that. The little grandbaby's home. All right, just one sec. So let's draw lightning on here. And can anybody see, if you were looking at this, where is identified lightning on this chart? Anybody? At the moment, let's get rid of the lines just real quick. All right, you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high. So your line would be right there, right? All right, then you had a high, you had a low, you had a lower high, so that's actually where it broke. Okay, everybody see that? So, where did we actually get the trade? Well, we got the trade right about where we should have. Okay, so let's look. High, low, higher high, higher low, higher high. That's your line. High, low, lower high, lower low, that would be your line. High, low, lower high, this would be your low. See what I mean? And then you can always just make it with how close something is. See where that swing is right there? That's a safer way to do it. Always look to the left to trade the right. Everybody see how to do a phantom trade? I can tell you this, phantom trades are awesome. Could you explain the phantom trade according to the rules that were written down? Absolutely. Because this webinar is about after your entry, where do you put your stop? And I've already shown quite a bit of that. Okay? We've already shown quite a bit of that. So now what do we do? Well, we'll show you how to see the phantom trade to begin with. Let's just kill it. We don't care. I know it went down. I didn't even take the trade this morning, but I did call it. Okay, let's, and somebody might say, well, why didn't you take a good trade like that? Because we got in here, remember? And this trade was monster. And how many times have you seen them then do a phantom, not roll over, come down to mid-band or maybe a little lower and then chop around for an hour and a half, right? But you can normally get a 10-tick trade from these phantoms. And if you think about it, a 10-tick trade with 2 contracts on oil would be $200 every time it did it. Okay, so David, I'm going to go over that for you and show you exactly how to do it. And everybody pay close attention because it's really important to know exactly how this works. Okay, always make sure that you go from one extreme on your mid-band to another. Now, you always go from short to long. I mean, that's obviously, right? That's obvious. See, even this big trade went from short, right? Short to long. So now we've had a long, okay? We're looking for the first phantom. That never even had a phantom until right there. That's a 10-tick trade. See that line 2? 10 ticks, at least. That's probably closer to 12 or 15 even. Okay, that's the criteria for it though. It has to go from one extreme to the next. Mid-band has to go from short to long or vice versa. And then you're looking for that first phantom trade. Now, keep in mind, we're taking this trade too. Okay, we're always taking this trade too because look at this predictor. What if you were up at 1 o'clock and you saw this in real time and you said, you know what? I just practically woke out of my dreams and everything, but you got resistance right across here, you got resistance right across here. If they break and they kiss these predictors and everything, couldn't you take these trades? Absolutely. Okay, but we're talking about phantoms right now. Okay, so let's go to our first phantom again. That's right there. That's a 10-tick trade, 2 contracts, that's a $200 bill. So let's just pretend that you simply got $200 on this one. We're not even going to count the mid-band. So you got $200 here. And that's not a phantom. Everybody see that? This never changed. Is this a good trade? You could box it in, but it's not a phantom trade because that's still a long mid-band. This is actually a phantom trade, and look what it did. So see, you've got to buy the bottom on the phantom on long and sell it on the short, but this was not a mid-band, it was short. So you're looking for a mid-band that goes short. There it is. Okay, so your phantom's up here. And you just simply wait for the phantom. Wait, there it is. 10 ticks. Time and time again. Now, what do you have to do for it to actually qualify for a phantom again? Well, it has to break the previous swing that it made on this low. You know, you've got a low, high, higher low, higher high. Even if you ratchet through this one even, because you have to break the previous low before the high. And since that's so close, I would probably want at least to break that one before I looked for another phantom. It broke it. There's your phantom. See it? Broke it. Broke that one. There's your phantom. Is that a 10-tick trade? Yes. Isn't that beautiful? So now it's ratcheting down. Where's your next trade? Well, let's look. Did that ratchet down? Yes, absolutely it did. It broke this swing. There's your high. There's your low. Much lower. You're looking for a phantom. Is that a phantom trade? Did it work? Yes. So let's count these real quick. You had $200. You had $200 more dollars. No phantom because you're now magenta. Phantom, there's $200. Ratcheted down, there's $200. And you stayed with that trade because it just kept rocketing down. Okay, if you were up at 11 o'clock at night. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 phantoms. That's $1,000. Okay. That didn't ratchet down, no phantom, right? Because you did this phantom if you did the first one after it ratcheted. So that's your phantom. Could you box this? Absolutely. But where's your next phantom? Let's just see. You ratcheted down, right? High, low, broke it. Even broke these here. If you happen to call this a low, this a high, you know, it's breaking all these areas. So that qualifies for another phantom. 10 ticks. Everybody see that? 10 ticks. So we already had 1,000. Now there's 1,200. And that's as far as we've gotten so far. Everybody see that? Now let's go through and let's just see if we can get another one. And you tell me, what do we got, $1,200 so far? Let's just go ahead and watch for this. Now remember, it's got to ratchet down. So what do we got to do? We got to break this. Now, are there other trades here? Yes. I mean, yeah, no question about it. You had this phantom here and it worked. All right, you ratcheted down. So where's your next phantom? Your next phantom's right up in here again. So let's watch for it. Your little sweet spot's right here. Will all of them work? No. But a high enough percentage will. You know, it's amazing to me. You know, people throw away their money on the lottery, okay? And their chance of making that money is like 1 in, 350 million. And some people will buy $200 worth and, not even be able to feed their kids because they see somebody win, and you never know them. They're from a state you're not even in and all that kind of stuff. Well, sure, somebody wins it. But your chance of being struck by lightning 5 times in a row is higher than ever winning the lottery. But look at this trade right here. This is actually an 80 to 85% probability trade right here. Okay. We want it to go into line 6 and short it and put our stop just above the swing. Now, I took a chance on that one. That turned green, by the way, but it didn't turn. What did it not turn, everybody? It didn't turn the mid-band. Okay, so we're just going to go for 10 again so that we can see that we got, what was that, 1400 now? So how would y'all like to have that little puppy automated? Do you load up with 3? Well, Greg, what I would do, I mean, you could load up with 5 as far as that goes. You could hit $500 every time it does that. But keep in mind that one stop out, if you did line 6 and put your stop here, that's 12 ticks. 5 contracts is $600. Okay, so let's say that you made all that. Well, you would have made a lot more with 5, obviously, because we just did 2. Okay, but yeah, it just depends on how a person does it. How do I do it? I don't like to do 5 contracts on a deep retracement. 2 to 3 is usually plenty. Now, what's our criteria, everyone? Let's see if we get any more. Okay, it ratcheted down. Your next trade is right in that area, right? Let's see if we can get 10 ticks. It definitely ratcheted down. Now there's some other good trades here, absolutely. But let's just do some phantom trades real quick. There's a mid-band trade. Beautiful mid-band trade, 10 ticks at least. Not too shabby. See that? Perfectly hit a line just like we teach. But let's just watch for a phantom trade. See if we can get 16 or we at 12 or 14 or 6. We're at 14, aren't we? Okay, it ratcheted down. Mid-band's still red, so where's our phantom trades? Right there. Let's see if we can take it. I'm just curious if we can. We might lose on one. We'll find out. This was right after we closed the room and I had people to help. But let's see if we can get it. No phantom yet, is it? Just choppy sideways garbage. There's your line 6. We're just going to go for like 10 ticks. Put your stop, yeah. You can put it just above. Well, we already got it. All right, what's the criteria? It would have to break down. Let's see, I've got some more data and we're almost out of time, but let's just see. If we ratchet down, we'd have to take out this swing right down here to get another phantom. Ooh, it's going to change, maybe change trends. Not yet, though. Yep, change trends. So where's your phantom now? Anybody? Where is your phantom now? 1 to 2. That's exactly right. I was hoping somebody would get that. All right, so let's see here. Our phantom would be looking right down here. Little sweet spot. Okay. We're also looking for a mid-band trade, right? We're absolutely looking for a mid-band trade because keep in mind that what you're always looking for, we'll go ahead and go by the phantom, but you want to see if we can get a mid-band trade too? Let's see. Let's draw on our charts. We've got a mid-band right here. I like to do a rule of thumb of at least an ABC. Let's see if we can get one. Nope, not yet. That's still the same. We're still looking for a mid-band trade. That's an A, B. We haven't had a C yet. Might go higher. That's okay. Did have a perfect trade off my line. I got this going fairly fast. I'm just trying to get a mid-band trade. That's still a double top, so we're not ABC. There's an ABC. Trying. Got an A, right? B, we need a B. Haven't got a B yet. There's B. And there is C. Everybody see that? All right, so we have an A, B, C. Now what are we looking for? Well, we just hit support, so I'd probably more than likely just grab this trade if it even popped above that line. But let's just box it in instead and see if we get something. I'd box it, let's see, you got a low, a high, same low, higher high. I'd probably want to box it across here like that for right now. And if it keeps going down a little bit, you could box it right here. See how that's like a third candle back? Let's try that. We're not looking for shorts now, are we? That's absolutely long, because guess what color that midband is? Now, will this break down? It could. But keep in mind that another trade that is really good and valuable for you is a midband trade, especially after an ABC. I don't like just an A, because a lot of times you're going to get fooled. I like this little, where they try to take people short, to give an example. So you get an ABC, you take out a little support, and I'd probably pop this thing as soon as it went above that midband. We got plenty of targets. See if we can get it. Bar closes, I'll probably take it. That's good enough for me. See, it's right at midband. Now, I would put a tight stop just in case on that one, because of the way this has been short all morning. And I'd put an exit on close like that. Let's see if it works. Just about got us. That's a higher low, by the way. Now, that's actually what you're looking for. Let me show you this real quick. My trade was aggressive, but everybody see this? Low, high, higher low. Now somebody says, what? That's only a tick. Yep, it's a higher low. And on a micro bars like that, that is extremely important. So couldn't you have taken the trade right there when lightning changed green? And the answer is yes. Now, I got in a little bit earlier than that, but not that much earlier, and I took more of a chance. So the lightning trade is pretty smart to wait for, isn't it? Let's see if it works. Good enough, looks like. Yep. Good enough. Okay. Everybody see that? It's a pretty good way to trade, I'll tell you. Now, look to the left to trade the right and see what the overall is, because be very careful. High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high so far. Until they take this out, you could easily still go short. So be very careful unless they take this out and pop up and come kiss. And we are looking for a phantom right down here. Okay. I don't know if I've got enough data or not. I just did this through like 1 o'clock, I'm pretty sure. Let's see if we can get it. Does everybody get the drift of it? How to enter, and also where to put your stop and your targets? A little bit clearer on that, hopefully. Because I think it makes a world of difference in being able to see the trades. And keep in mind that when you get these phantoms, if they don't work, to give an example, you can still usually get a scalp. Let's just see if we get a phantom. I don't know if I've got enough data, but if we do, I'll try to get it. I'm only going to go for 10 ticks. May not get a phantom. That's a falling knife. Nope, no phantom. Maybe. Nope. Let's try it for 10. Put a tight stop on it though, because that looks like that's changing directions to me. Yep. See, you even got your midband. So if you get in a case like that, well, we couldn't get it quick enough. But if you get like that and you get a midband all of a sudden, don't let it bite you. Okay, because with even 2 contracts, that can get you for $200 pretty quick. Right? Whoa, look at that thing. Mercy be. That was evidently at 3:30. That's not going to be tradable, but look at that phantom. If this was a time that you'd be trading, look at that phantom, 10 ticks. Okay? Everyone, I hope you enjoyed the webinar. It was recorded and it'll be up on the site. And tomorrow is oil inventory day. And I hope you guys and gals have a great evening. Thanks for coming to the webinar. And just remember that if you really learn to see these trades in real time and draw on your charts, you know, you're going to hit in the 85, 90 percentile, and you should be able to make some money, you know, because this trade alone that we called on oil, that was a $1,500 trade. That's pretty hard to beat. Okay. Did you understand that then, David, on the phantom training? I'll show you where the other phantom training is, because what you'll want to do is you want to go to the website, go to your member login. Let me go to mine real quick, and then I'll show you. Okay, go to your member login, and then scroll down. And this is your ebook right here that teaches you all about Object Trader, you know, the trades. It's not really teaching you how to trade it, it's teaching you how to enter the trades. And then here's Phantom Trades explained in detail. Just remember, all you really have to do is go from one extreme to the other. Okay, like for instance, right now, you're green again, so where's your trade? Well, you'd be looking for a Phantom. Will it work out? Well, if you do it the conservative way, you might not ever get it, because this one, doing the conservative way, never triggered. Everybody see that? Lightning? Lightning never triggered on that. Well, it might have right there. So, yeah, I think it would have triggered, so that would have faked you. But by the time it triggered, it was already magenta. Okay? So always remember, you go from one extreme to the other, and then look for those phantom trades. Phantom trade, phantom trade, phantom trade. Actually, it was over here. Okay? And then wait for it to ratchet down before you do another one. Okay? We had a guy with us a few years ago that's on permanent vacation nowadays, and all she did was go for 10 tick trades, 5 contracts on oil, and tried to do 10 in a day to make $5,000 a day. She was $1 million a year trader. She didn't go for these runs so much until she came with Viper, and she basically started seeing range bars and she could stay in a trade. But most of the time she was doing this, 10 ticks, 10 ticks, 10 ticks. Because to give an example, we showed with 2 contracts, that's 200, 200, 200. It's just over and over and over. Okay? Thanks, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Good night.